All right, and we're live. Sorry if you guys heard a little bit of that snippet of the intro there. Got shut off YouTube before I went live. Sorry about that, guys. But episode 7 of the All-Star Sports Report. You all know me. I'm Gary. That's Mike.
How
And
we doing,
yes, I'm still
everybody?
repping Tennessee from, last week. But here we are. Uh,
How's
just
every?
wanted, just wanted
I was
to
gonna
do
say,
that quick little moment of silence there for Greg Gumbel,
mm-hmm.
legendary sportscaster for CBS for a billion years. Just recently lost his battle with cancer. No longer with us, but good to see you, Mike. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Gary? Hope the viewers are at home are enjoying 2 weeks of holiday season here. Busy 2 weeks here. The holidays.
Yeah, and then thanks, Sleepy. We just had to put it on a Wednesday. But hey, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess if you want, we could take a moment here. Your thoughts on the career of Greg Gumbel?
Well, Greg Gumbel to me was he was the one of the first NFL announcers I listened to on CBS. It was him and trying to think who it was. Dan Dorkoff or something like that. I forget the name of the commentator that he was with, but Greg Gumbel was very good at football, very good at March Madness. Selection Sunday is not going to be the same without him. Him, Clark Kellogg, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley. I mean that trio right there together was just absolutely phenomenal. Every March Madness. Greg did broadcasting for I think almost 50 years, a little bit over 50 years at this point. So great guy, great announcer. He put a lot of passion into his work, and I'm sad to see him go.
Same here. Did the Daytona 500 a few times when NASCAR was on in CBS there for a little bit. He did the pre-race show. He was with Phil Simms. There's your
Phil
correction, Mike.
Sims.
It's Phil
Okay.
Simms. Yeah, I guess when he was in the one seat there for a while. Thanks, Nate, for liking the stream. But yeah, so I mean, great guy. Like I said, 50 years of broadcasting. The last decade or so there with March Madness was pretty fun with him and Chuck and Clark Kellogg and or the other guy.
Kenny the Jet Smith.
Yeah, Kenny Smith there for a little bit. I think they had Jay, not Jay Bills, Jay Wright,
Jay Wright, and they had Seth
Villanova head
Davis
coach there
there.
toward the end. So that was pretty cool. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think it would only be appropriate to have Ernie Johnson do the tournament this year in replace of Gray. I think that'd be a good replacement because it worked last year and it worked out really well.
He did.
But yeah, condolences to the Gumbel family and moving forward. I know it's a tough day, but
Mm-hmm.
no longer in pain and no longer suffering, so that's good.
Yep.
But we got a lot of things to cover here. I'm going to try and take it slow, everybody, but we do have some news to catch up from last week and some more stuff that broke out this week. So
Yes.
let's go ahead and talk about it here. So NASCAR news, this broke last week. Didn't get to talk about it on the podcast last week if you listened. It was a lot of college football that we talked about, which I'm okay
It
with,
was.
but there were some
It
things
was.
that we missed.
It was a good conversation that we had last week.
It was. And we'll continue to expand upon that tonight. So Chandler Smith, Front Row Motorsports. He's going to be driving the second truck. Front Row Motorsports is going to start a second truck team this season to go with Lane Riggs. Number to be announced, I'm assuming 34, but who knows? But he is going to be teaming up with Lane Riggs. Sucks that he couldn't get another Xfinity ride or even a nod at some Cup stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, at least he's still in the sport. I mean, he there for a while. He was thinking that he was going to be no ride and out of the sport
Yeah.
entirely there for a little bit. So
Well, and we think about what Front Row did at the end of that season, especially with Lane Riggs. As soon as the playoffs clicked off, I mean, if Lane Riggs was a playoff driver last year, he'd be in the Final Four. I mean, that team was very good in the last
I think a
8
lot of it.
races.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was he was going to these super speedways for the first time, couldn't really get a grip on them. And then, of course, the playoffs is basically all short tracks right up in his wheelhouse. So it makes sense for him to start running good there toward the end. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's good equipment over there for sure. Good to see them get a teammate because then, more data exchanging amongst the two trucks. And I think that's only going to improve their program moving forward. I mean, last time they ran a second truck, I think Zane Smith was still there, but they had a one-off at Dega with Brett Moffitt, and I think Brett won
Mm-hmm.
that truck race,
He did.
if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it's proven that whenever they get multiple trucks in the field, they do run well. So let's see. NASCAR appeal for their appeal for the not allowing front row and
Motion
2311 to sign.
dismiss.
Yeah, the motion, there you go, was dismissed. Thank God. That's a big win for the lawsuit as we move forward for the monopoly of NASCAR. Appeal was denied. Front Row Motorsports in 2311 allowed to sign the charter deal with Front Row acquiring that Stewart Haas Racing charter in the process. So big win for them. I believe for Roush Fenway, Keselowski, their charter for the 60 came from Rick Ware. It was the old 15 charter, which with where the 15 was in owner points the last couple of years, they were about to lose that charter anyway. Makes sense for Rick Ware to sign it off to Keselowski for a couple of years, get that thing back up in the owner points. And I think Rick Ware is going to run a lot better just as a one-car operation. Put all their tools and everything into that one car, which is Corey LaJoie going to drive it? I think they haven't really announced their full-time driver officially for next year. I think
They haven't, but I would assume at this point it'd be Corey LaJoie unless something breaks in the month of January.
Well, the only reason why I say that because Tim Brown, Bowman Gray legend, Bowman Gray Stadium, is going to be driving for Rick Ware in the Clash.
Good for him though to get that opportunity.
So, yeah, good for him to get that opportunity. But that's why I mentioned have they nailed down who's going to drive in their points races for next season, or is it going to be a hodgepodge of drivers like they've done pretty much their entire existence?
Could be.
It's going to be interesting. Parker Retzlaff signs with Alpha Prime. They're going to run the number 4 here.
Throwback to was it JD Davis? That team had all those that
they did have the 4 there for a little bit. Yeah, JD Motorsports. Yeah, that's a good shout out there. With the Cup deal though, apparently Stewart Haas Racing is basically going to be a 4th car for RFK. So I've been told. So that 41 should have some moderate success. So hopefully it works out for them. And of course, they're still considering their alliance with Rick Ware, so they kind of have 5 cars in the building again. So should be interesting to should be interesting to see there.
I'm expecting more out of that Xfinity team versus the Cup team next year for Haas Factory.
With them having an alliance with RFK, I'm kind of wondering if Brad's going to have some influence on that Xfinity team. And who knows, maybe they run a one-off here and there, and maybe Brad gets in the car for a couple races. Who knows?
No.
But Fred Lorenzen, NASCAR legend, won the Southern 500 a couple times. Known for driving the 28 car for Holman Moody. Passed away a couple weeks ago at the age of 89. So that's another, I guess, sports legend. If you believe in those things that occur in threes.
Rest in peace to him and his family.
Yeah. He was just a handful of days away from turning 90.
Wow.
So, yeah, his birthday is December 30th, so we were coming right up on that. But, yeah, so that's sad to see. Sad news there. Thoughts of discussion. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Rotating the NASCAR finale. I know that's kind of been talked the last handful of years, but it's really picked up here recently. What do you think of rotating the finale, or should we do something where, 3 to 5 years we're at one place, then rotate it, or do you want it to see it rotated every year?
My thing on this is it's hard to rotate the finale just because of what time of year it normally is, and you only have a few tracks that are available for warm weather climates. So that's my whole thing about rotating the finale. I could say maybe do a 3 to 5 year deal at one track and then rotate it to another track. But realistically, it's Phoenix, Homestead, Las Vegas. I don't think you wanted at Texas Motor Speedway. And then I don't know if you wanted it at Daytona, but it's like at that point, nobody wants a championship finale at Daytona.
Or Atlanta.
You could do Darlington too. So, there's that option too, or Atlanta. But
I
think
wants to do Atlanta.
No, my personal opinion, I think you do 3 to 5 year deal at a place. And I think it's going to be a rotation between Phoenix and Homestead, and maybe a Darlington thrown in there. But Phoenix,
or even Rockingham Speedway. Rockingham there before they put Atlanta as the last race of the year. a lot of times was either the second to last race, third to last race in that area, or even the finale in some years. So,
But I think that NASCAR has their hands tied just because of how many tracks are available for warm weather climates.
yeah.
But Phoenix
You know, if
sells
they didn't
out.
tear down this place called Auto Club Speedway, you could have had.
Yeah, you could.
You know, it had
But
the greatest IndyCar finale that nobody ever watched.
yes,
In
I watched that race.
2014?
15.
Oh, 15. Let's see. You know, I was in the area.
You were. I
But
watched that race. That was a great race.
I ended up watching it later. I didn't watch it live. I didn't know the race was going on because, you know, NBC never, you know, talked about IndyCar. Just saying. Oh, we will talk about IndyCar. I've got some IndyCar stuff here on this little list here.
What do you think about the finale rotation?
You know, I'm kind of with you on this one. I don't want to see it every year, just because, I mean, we're not the Super Bowl, but people want to make it like the Super Bowl. Personally, I think you can't, with, like you said, with the limited access that we have to racetracks, I think you have to do it in 3 to 5 year increments. I think Phoenix is on the line for 5 or 6 years now, so I think going back to Homestead or going to Texas, unfortunately, or Las Vegas, those are kind of your options. Unless you really wanted to end the season on a road course, you can go to Coda. But yeah, there's really not a whole lot of ovals, at least that are currently on the schedule, where I could say, yeah, we could go there. I would love to see it maybe Darlington. Doubt it though. I don't think they want to give up their 2 dates that they currently have. But you know, it's hard telling. I mean, we've seen them race into October, November at Toledo before. Just using Toledo Speedway as an example for ARCA. They've ended their seasons kind of late October, early November, kind of where NASCAR is. So you could probably get away with it depending on the weather. It wouldn't be the warmest place to go to IMS, but you could put on a decent race.
I mean, and you think about it, what you brought up just a good point is that's what people are talking about with the clash at Bowman Gray.
It's either going to be 70 or it's going to be 20.
Yep, exactly. So it's like
the weather kind of fluctuates there in February up there in North Carolina, or down there in North Carolina rather. But again, I mean, you know, they had Rockingham there for forever with Xfinity and Cup going back there. I hope it sells out, or at least has a really good crowd for an Xfinity and truck race there on Easter weekend. I'm hoping a couple of the Cup guys are willing to go out there and race. Seeing somebody like Ross Chastain or even Kyle Busch.
But with that being the only Cup off weekend, that's going to be very hard, I think.
I think your racers to the core will still show up if they want to race it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, look what Kevin Harvick did back in the day when we were off when Cup was off Easter weekend, but the Xfinity Series was racing at Nashville. Now, granted, that was a Saturday race, so if it's a Friday, Saturday schedule for truck and Xfinity, I think you see some guys running that Xfinity race, especially if it's on Saturday.
Yeah.
But if it's on Sunday, probably not. I think you're right about that. I think that would be pretty hard. But the only F1 news I had, Sergio Perez gets the Red Bull boot.
Which is not surprising.
Yeah, he had a bad year this year. Unfortunate, but
he was not a contender at all this season.
No, and
they're bringing in Liam Lawson from Team RB or whatever the side team is called now.
Whatever the side chick is called. Yeah. What?
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. But Liam,
I'm not aligned, but I'm right.
I mean, we'll see if Liam Lawson can live up to being a teammate to Max Verstappen, because I mean that's like being a teammate
to Lewis Hamilton. Like, come on, man. Like that expectations there are not fair.
No, they're not.
And we know that Red Bull has most of their focus on the one car anyway.
Yep.
I can't even say 33. It's been forever since he's had the 33.
That's been since 2021.
Lose a title, so I can say you're in the 33. Anyways. So we've got some FCS college football action coming up here in a couple of weeks. Nate's going to love me for this because I'm going to be talking about it here.
Yes, he will.
Montana State versus North Dakota State in the FCS title game on January 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be taking place at Toyota Stadium. Toyota Stadium, it's a soccer stadium, I would think, in San Antonio or something like that. So.
No, I think it's in Frisco, Texas, I believe.
Frisco,
Texas. Nate said he's going, so...
Yep,
Nate Orlowski, the guy on the podcast last week, he will be going.
Yep, and so you had South Dakota and South Dakota State in the semis. So, pretty good season for South Dakota in the FCS. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Montana State beat South Dakota handedly, 31-17, back on the 21st, so just a little under a week to advance to the championship game. And North Dakota State beat South Dakota State 28-21 in a thriller on the 21st. So they had those games back-to-back pretty much last week, and they took care of business, needless to say, for Montana State and North Dakota State. And, of course, we've talked about in the past, North Dakota State in the last decade or so has kind of been the Alabama of the FCS. So good to see that they'll be in another championship game here in a couple of weeks. So... I'm a Montana State fan for the next couple of weeks. We'll just put it that way.
So am I.
Hope they're able to
win.
Go out there and take on North Dakota State and kick their butt. That's what we want to see.
Go fight, win.
Yeah, go fight, win. Unlike your Chicago Bears. Anyways, we'll talk about those. We'll talk about them here in a minute. We'll talk about the Bears blunder here in a little bit. Another news. We got some new coaching hires.
Yes,
Delaware State hired Deshaun Jackson as their head coach, right?
Yes, he did. And folks that are thinking to themselves, yes, that Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, the Deshaun Jackson that liked to lateral the ball at the 1 yard line to nobody. Playing the Cowboys. Similar to what Jonathan Taylor did.
Yeah. I mean,
gotta hold on to the ball, man. I hope that's the first thing he tells his players is to hold the ball.
I mean, Giants fans have him in his nightmares all the time.
You'll be seeing me in your nightmares. Anyways. And, of course, Mike Vick to Norfolk State. You know what? It's cool to see these former players getting some head coaching jobs.
Yeah.
And I like how they're starting out small. I do.
Yeah.
Going to these smaller schools and working their way up. And I think I know what you're getting ready to say. That is strictly the Deion Sanders factor.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that leads to these guys getting a shot at a group of 5 or even a power 4 later on down the line. So it'll be interesting.
Good to see a couple former Eagles teammates together getting into the coaching business.
Yeah, for sure. Taking after Andy Reid, I guess you could say. So we have got, I think this is going to take up the bulk of our conversation here tonight. We've got the college football playoff happening next week between New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Yep.
I know on the itinerary, I kind of sent them to you out of order, but I just went down the bracket.
I see it.
Copied it. But let's talk about the first one first. That's going to be the Fiesta on New Year's Eve. Penn State, or Penn Sad University, as I call them after. They are taking on
Boise State.
Boise State University at 7:30. That's going to be at the Cardinal Stadium, State Farm Stadium, I think it's called. So,
State Farm. Is it still called State Farm, I believe?
Yeah, I think so. Used to be University of Phoenix Stadium for forever,
yes,
so I still call it that sometimes. But I think it should be a decent game. But I don't think the State's going to win.
I will say for a fact, Gentry got screwed out of the Heisman. Just going to put that out there right now. Screwed out of the Heisman.
Stats ain't a stat, though. Or snaps ain't a stat, though.
But I mean, you got to give Boise State credit for their season and, where they're at.
They did.
I mean, they've had a good season. I mean, I hope they can put up a fight. It'd be nice to see them beat Penn State, but Penn State has already got a game under their books. They crushed SMU.
I was gonna say the way Tom Allen's defense. Oh, I can't believe I said that. The way it showed up. Oh, I can't believe I said that again. Against SMU. I'm expecting
think-
the same.
Yeah,
So,
I think Penn State will.
I think we're going to see Penn State
If
in the
this-
championship 4.
If Boise State was coached by Chris Peterson like 10 years ago, Boise State would probably win this game.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility for sure. It wouldn't overly shock me at all, honestly. But you know,
Is this Boise State's first time back in the Fiesta Bowl since 07 when they played Oklahoma?
I want to say that sounds accurate. I mean, you might have to look that up for me, but I think that sounds about right.
What if that's accurate? What a game that was back then! Oh my!
I think that was against Ohio State, was it not?
No, it was against Oklahoma.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of another time they played Ohio State in a bowl game.
I'm gonna double check here just to make sure, but
while you're looking that up, let's do a little multitasking here. Go ahead and give me your pick for Fiesta Bowl.
Penn State is my pick.
You got a score?
Let's go 31-17.
Ooh. I'm also going to pick Penn State. I'm going to say it's going to be 35-21.
Boise State was last in the Fiesta Bowl in 2014. So
Who'd they play?
they played Arizona that year.
Oh, okay. They lose?
No, they won 38-30.
Oh, shootout. I think if it gets into a shootout, I think maybe Boise State will be able to keep up. But if Tom Allen brings his defense the way he did against SMU, it ain't going to be close. I'm sorry. No. I love Gentry, but I think the road stops here. But Rose Bowl. No, sorry. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl.
Yeah, good old Peach Bowl.
Texas versus Arizona State on New Year's Day at 1 o'clock, right after your New Year's Day parade, if you guys watch that crap. I don't. But here we are. Who you got? Texas or Arizona State?
We're gonna go hook 'em. I think Texas beat Clemson. I mean, it was a close game, but I feel like Sarkisian's got those boys on a roll. Quinn Ewers slinging it out there. I give credit to Arizona State and especially Coach Dillingham in his first season. That guy's turned the program around quickly. And that running back for Arizona State, Scatterboo, you see that run he did the other day in the Pac-12 game? Not Pac-12 game, the Big 12 championship. My goodness.
All right, give me a score.
I'm gonna make this a little bit close. I'm gonna make it Texas. I'm gonna go 27-20 is what I'm going.
You know what? As you guys know, sometimes I am an agent of chaos. I'm going to go Arizona State on this one. But I do want to see a good game. I think what's going to be won and lost, and I know this sounds so cliche, but I think it's going to be won and lost in the trenches with Texas's offense and defensive line. How are they going to match up to Arizona State? But go ahead and give me Arizona State on this one. I think it's going to be a close one as well. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. Give me 20-17 Arizona State. Last second field goal over Texas.
Wow.
So go ahead. I predicted it. If I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong. I don't care. So there you go. So we've got that out of the way. The Peach Bowl. Next bowl game is going to be the Rose Bowl game, like the 90 millionth Rose Bowl game. And that's going to be between OSU and Oregon. I'm glad to see they kept it a Pac-12 Big Ten matchup.
Yep. So am I. So am I.
Even though it's an all Big Ten matchup, they still kept it alive somewhat. Go ahead. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern time, by the way. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, 1 p.m. Eastern time, and the Fiesta Bowl the night before, 7:30 p.m. Pretty sure all these games are on either ABC or ESPN. So.
Mm-hmm.
Check your local affiliates. Anyways, Ohio State versus University of Oregon. I think that game's going to be very good. However, y'all know how much I don't like Ohio State. I'm picking Oregon.
Score?
Oregon by 1 million. I'm just kidding. Go ahead and let's do... Yeah, I wouldn't. 35-21.
Well, as we look at
I,
this bowl
I,
game,
I hate to say it, but Ryan Day's teams are always very insecure, and he's very insecure in who he is as a person and how his teams are. They still have yet to show up in a New Year's Six bowl to get somewhere. So, and you're 1-4 against Michigan. I'm gonna say that too. Like big games, they have struggled. I mean, other than when he decided to attack 80-million-year-old Lou Holtz for no reason. This is a tough team. This is a tough team right here. Where's Lou Holtz? Where's Lou Holtz? Anyways, 35-21. Give me the Ducks.
Leaderman.
Leader of men. We're not playing for clicks.
No, we are not.
Right.
Well, my viewpoint on the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, the beautiful Rose Bowl. Got the sunset later in the game over the mountains out there. Great atmosphere, great tradition. I'm gonna go Oregon myself. I don't like Ohio State at all, but I'm gonna throw a little caveat on this. I'm gonna go Oregon 38-35 in overtime.
Ooh, OT. Okay.
Rose Bowl always
Okay.
seems to deliver a classic, and it
Does
goes to overtime.
and I believe Michigan and Alabama went to overtime last year.
They did.
That's a good call. That's a good call. It's usually a pretty high scoring game with an overtime finish. I mean, that's how it's been. That's 3 or 4 years, 5 years. So I mean, it always has a thrilling finish. And it's always a good game.
Well, you think about it, the one time that Ohio State and Oregon played this year in Eugene, that went down to the last play, even though Ohio State choked it at the end for their clock
Don't
management
have a
thing.
kicker. I'm telling you, if it comes down to a kicker and it's Ohio State, they ain't gonna win the game. They're gonna lose the game. They don't have a kicker.
Oregon's got a kicker.
It's kind of like when Nick Saban there for a while, even though he was winning national championships at Alabama. If you recall, around 2011 to 2013, they didn't have a kicker that was really good. The Iron Bowl is a prime example of them not having a very good kicker.
Chris Davis. No
You're
flags.
not going to keep him off the field tonight. So, and lastly, we wrap it up with another granddaddy, Sugar Bowl, down in New Orleans. It is cheer, cheer for old Notre Dame.
Wow, you're gonna go Notre Dame, huh?
I didn't tell you who I was picking yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you said cheer, cheer, so I thought that's where
You know what? I am going to pick Notre Dame, though, because I think, honestly, the way I look at it, and I know people are going to say, you were crapping on Notre Dame a few weeks ago, yada, yada. I do that. I just give Mike a hard time. That's what I do. Now, I will say, give me Notre Dame. I just really like how they're taking care of it in the trenches. Now, again, the key is going to be, as I said when they played IU a couple weeks ago, and what I say, Mike?
If you stop the run, they're not good. But if you let the run go, they're going to run it down your throats.
That's right. So, I think it's still going to be a Notre Dame game. Go ahead, give me the Irish. You can't bet against the Catholics, as Lee Corso used to say. And I'm going to make this a 24-14 pole game. I think because of Georgia's defense, I think they're going to keep that game close. But the way that the offensive line is for Notre Dame and their defensive line, very big guys up front, I think they're going to allow themselves to pull away heading into the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be maybe like a 14-7, 14-10 kind of a game going into half. But I think it's very winnable for.
Well, we want to mention too, as we're talking about this game, Carson Beck is out for the entire college football playoff. Where he had surgery the other day, so
had Tommy John surgery. But I just want to say, people are going, oh, you're just riding this guy because you like Trevor Lawrence, which I did coming out of the draft. I did love Trevor Lawrence. This guy, this quarterback they got that's backing up Beck.
Gunnar Stockton, I think his name is Gunnar Stockton.
Yes, Gunnar Stockton. And you got to think, Georgia, the state of Georgia in high school has had a lot of good quarterbacks there in the last decade. Deshaun Watson comes to mind. Trevor Lawrence. They've set records. They set the world on. They set Georgia on fire. Stockton broke all of those records. So
He's going to be good next year.
they've got a decent quarterback. Now, I don't think he's going to go off this game because if Notre Dame can generate the pressure like they did against IU, it's going to be a long night for Gunnar Stockton.
You think about it too.
And if Notre Dame can stop the run like they did against IU, long night for Georgia.
You think about it too. Gunnar Stockton is also coming off, I think, concussion protocol too, because he got a concussion in that Texas game too.
He did. What's that coming down the track? It's the big train crash in the red and black. Okay, that's what's going to happen, I think, for Georgia. But go ahead, tell me you're picking Notre Dame and give me a score.
Okay, obviously, as you guys can see, Notre Dame will win this game. I'm going to make it a closer game like Gary. I'm going to go 17-14 Notre Dame in overtime in the Sugar Bowl.
You and your overtime finish.
I'm going to think Mitch Jeter is going to kick a game-winning field goal in overtime.
First overtime, second overtime. I think you got
first overtime.
First.
Yeah.
So, wow, it's right like I predicted. We got to pay some bills here, y'all.
We do.
We do have to pay some bills, and I just want to give a shout out to our sponsor here on All Star 15 TV. By the way, thanks AJ for letting us crash your channel week in and week out to be able to do this podcast. It's greatly appreciated. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Dubby, big sponsor, big supporter of All Star 15 TV. Dubby is a brand of energy drinks designed to be clean, flavorful, and focused on energy. Use code AS15TV for 10% off on any order. Go to their website, dubby.gg, to place your order today. Again, that is using code AS15TV as you're getting ready to check out, and you'll get 10% off. Description and links are down, or the description of the sponsor is down there. It's just look at it.
Scroll down. It takes 2 seconds to scroll down, people. Come on.
Also, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for All Star 15 TV, so you know anytime that we not just us here at the All Star Sports Report, but anytime that All Star 15 TV goes live, we've got all kinds of iRacing action. They've got A-Car in their Tuesday night trucking series with Fry Trucking sponsoring that, and of course with Extreme Motorsports on Tuesday and Wednesday nights with the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, respectively, both sponsored by Rick. So we've got, and you know, both series are in their playoffs right now, so that's going to be interesting coming down to the end of those respective seasons.
Yeah, the round of 8 is going to be starting here.
Sure is. It's gonna be exciting here in a couple weeks after New Year's is over. So, all right. So enough of that stuff. We can talk about our iRacing.
Hey, you and I both had good runs tonight. So
we did. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. IndyCar news this week. Now, this one I had to go a little bit of digging for. I did see today, according to motorsport.com, I want to say Marshall Pruitt because it seems like that's the only guy that works in the garage area for IndyCar during the off season. He's kind of like Bob Pockrass, but he doesn't work for the TV media. It's for print media. New steering wheel for IndyCar in 2025. They're going to be having the Cosworth MK3 model. Now, again, this is just an option for these guys. They don't have to run it. I did see 8 out of the 11 full-time organizations are going to be running this wheel next season. So it should be pretty interesting. I believe I saw AJ Foyt was on that list. Ganassi was on that list. I want to say Myers Shank was also on that list. As far as teams running this new wheel, it is larger in diameter to generate more force and leverage in the cockpit for the driver. It's going to be give them more leverage, 284 millimeters to 310. With this larger wheel, it is going to come with larger data displays. So like here they're in the RPMs, the fuel, all that kind of stuff. That's going to be included in that as well. And the wheel cost, want to know?
Yeah, let's hear it.
$19,000 US.
Ooh, hello.
So that is a pretty piece. Do not break that steering wheel.
No, do not.
See, when I see drivers, especially Rossi, pounded on their steering wheel. Now I know that how much a wheel costs is 19 grand.
Maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Maybe you should. You should. So, I had to make a little note there so I don't forget to talk about this. But IndyCar, all races are going to be on Fox. I think like practice and qualifying might be on like FS1. But all the races next season for IndyCar are going to be on Big Fox.
You like the start times?
Which is great to see. What?
You like the start times?
I like them better than NASCAR.
Okay.
At least they're more consistent compared to what NASCAR is.
That's true.
I like it that they start earlier. And I do like that they're having a longer pre-race show for IndyCar for the Indy 500. As much as I like the local broadcast being extended for the guys on Channel 13 the last few years, the guys and gals there, I'm glad to see that, there is a longer pre-race show instead of half of it being on peak. So, grateful for that.
Still no booth announcement yet for Fox.
Yep, still no word on that announcement team. I mean, I have my speculation, but I don't know.
I think a lot of the broadcast booth pairings, like for IndyCar for Fox and the CW and FS1 for trucks, I think a lot of that's probably going to be coming in the month of January.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that here in the next week or two. But Indy Next is all going to be on FS1 or FS2 next season, so not going to be Peacock only. You actually will be able to see the rising stars of IndyCar on television.
Haley Deegan's debut season.
Now you just made all the old people really no.
Don't go there. You don't want to get canceled here.
I don't want to get canceled.
We don't want to get canceled.
I don't want to get AJ canceled. So
no.
All right. So, but
I'm sorry, AJ.
So go ahead. Give us your prediction, Mike. Your broadcast crew for Fox.
For Fox, for IndyCar. I'm gonna go.
Do booth first.
Booth first. I'm gonna go Alan Bestwick is what I'm gonna go. Alan Bestwick. I'm gonna go Townsend Bell, and I'm gonna go James Hinchcliffe. That's who I'm gonna go with. We'll see. We will see.
So for me, you should be shocked of how my booth is going to go. I am going to pick Alan Bestwick with the exception of one race, so we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I'm also going to pick Townsend Bell. But we got to bring this guy back. Paul Tracy.
Yeah, there you go.
Bring back PT. Now, I think if you want to bring in Hitch, I think he'd be good in the pre-race. Put him in a Danica role. Can't believe I just said that. But I think he would be good as like a studio pre-race kind of guy. Personal taste for me, I can't stand Hinchcliffe. That's why I'm glad when I go to the Indy 500, I don't have to listen to him. It's great. But those are my picks. Alan Bestwick, except for one race, Townsend Bell and Paul Tracy. Now, here's why I said except for the one race. You ready? You guys are going to probably just hate me for this.
I know where you're going with this.
So, as you all know, Alan Bestwick is the voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As you all know. As you probably don't know. Because you don't know. But he's been the voice of the IMS radio network since Bob Jenkins has passed away. Rest in peace. Yes, that Bob Jenkins that did play-by-play for ESPN for a million years. So, I think he likes his job. I think he likes Indy 500. I think he likes being on the PA. There is one guy, though, that I would like to see in the booth for the Indy 500 and the Indy 500 only. Screw your chemistry in the booth for one race.
And his schedule will allow it this year?
And his schedule will allow it this year because he's not covering the other race over there in Charlotte. Mike Joy. He said that has been one of his only goals that he has yet to accomplish. He's done the Daytona 500 the last 50 years consecutively. So I would like to see Mike Joy do an Indy 500 before he retires. If they decide to not put him in the booth, put him in the Mike Tirico.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think he'd be a great host, kind of like what Ken Squire did the last few years at CBS when they basically swapped Mike Joy from pit road to the booth, and they put Ken Squire down as the host for the Daytona 500 and a few other races they did on CBS. I think that would be a good for Mike Joy. I want to see him come to Indianapolis for do an Indy 500 one time before he retires. And I think Fox getting IndyCar is going to make that possible. Now, Mike Joy has been in the booth for some IndyCar races. People forget this. He did Dover. Well, let me just retract that.
This is on TNN, right? Back in the day?
Whenever it was on CBS, I don't recall IndyCar races being on TNN, but if they were, I'm sure he probably did it. But any IndyCar race in the mid-90s, right after the split, CBS, he did those IndyCar races for the Indy Racing League. So I think in like Atlanta, Dover, a couple others that were on CBS. Whenever ABC didn't have it and CBS did, he did those races. So he does have experience. It's been 30 years almost since he covered IndyCar, but he's done it. But yeah, those, and I think the pit reporters, I think they're probably going to stay similar to what they have for, for NASCAR. I think you could very well see Jamie Little on pit road for IndyCar. She's done it before.
I think that's what she'll do. I think they'll move her over there, and she'll get taken out of the truck stuff.
I think she will too. That's my prediction. I do think you could see.
I could see Shannon Spake in the pits too down there.
Shannon Spake. She also did IndyCar back in the day. She also did the Cup Series for a while too on ESPN. Vince Welch could make a return, maybe. Potentially. Pit reporting.
Dr. Jerry Punch.
Now take it easy. No, I'm just kidding. I would love to see Jerry Punch make a comeback to media if he wants to. I'm sure whoever picks him up, if somebody picks him up, it'd be great.
I can see Vince Waltz's son doing it too down in the peak and the.
Dylan will probably. Dylan, I feel like it will be more likely than Vince, honestly, at this point, especially where Vince is at in his career. He's older, but I could definitely see Dylan.
I don't see Georgia Henneberry leaving NBC. I don't, but I mean she could.
But you know who I do see leaving NBC?
Dave Burns.
Coming right back to Fox.
Who?
Matt Yoakum.
I could see it. I could see him doing IndyCar.
Because I IndyCar, for some reason, I don't know why, I can see him doing IndyCar. So I think my pit reporter is going to be one of the Welches. You give me Jamie Little, maybe Dr. Jerry Punch, and then maybe Matt Yoakum. But I think my two for sure is going to be Jamie Little and one of the Welches.
I would agree with that.
I don't know if Shannon Spake is interested in doing pit road stuff anymore. I don't know.
Who knows?
But those are my picks. What about you, pit reporters?
Well, Jamie Little and one of the Welches. I'd like to see Jerry Punch as well. And then, thinking here. What about Rick DeBrule? Remember him many years ago? What about him?
Yeah.
What about him coming back? I don't know. Coming back.
If he's still alive, he's pretty old.
Yeah. Or
you know it'd be fun for kicks and giggles.
What?
Just his name just slipped my mind.
You remember Chris Neville? He used to be the pit reporter.
He used to work for Channel 8 back in the day.
No.
Here in Indianapolis, worked for Channel 8, which TV?
I could see him going back to TNT when TNT comes back for NASCAR, because he was a pit reporter for TNT the last couple of years.
He was good for them. So I just remembered Jackaroo. Bring his old butt back to pit reporting. I think he'd be very good at it. He would basically be the Dick Berggren of IndyCar.
You think he wants to leave Sirius XM and Stratford Speedway or Stanford? I can never say that Speedway. Stafford, thank you. Think he wants to leave those two?
I think those wouldn't conflict. I mean, most of the races take place on Friday and Saturday night, and most of the IndyCar races are on Sunday. So I don't think it would affect that schedule.
It would be nice for him.
And Sirius XM, that's kind of mostly during the week anyway. He just kind of fills in for Dave Moody every once in a while. So
it'd be nice to see him.
It'd be interesting. I don't know though. At his age,
Do you remember when Versus put him in some like pit box thing with a screen? I was like, what are you doing?
Oh, when they try to make him like a studio host or something.
Yeah, and they put him in like a pit box with TV screen when Versus was starting, and I'm like, what are we doing?
They took that old concept from CBS and
That failed.
ESPN.
Yeah.
ESPN did that a lot back in the 80s, early part of the 90s. So, but yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I'm curious to see who the announcement teams are going to be. I really hope it's not what my deepest darkest fear is going to be though.
Jamie Little, lead commentator.
For Cup?
No, for IndyCar.
No, for Cup.
I gotta open up. I hope not. Oh, I hope not.
I love you, Jamie, but I don't know. I mean, you have gotten a little bit better in the booth, but reporting's your thing. You're a storyteller. She's good at that.
We got next couple weeks, man. These announcement teams are all the channels. I mean, Amazon and TNT were ahead of the game, but now everybody else has got to follow suit.
Yep, I think we're going to see it. So, turning the page, literally and figuratively, because I have to turn the page. NFL. I want you to talk to me about, because I didn't watch a damn thing on Netflix. Sorry for swearing. I didn't watch anything on Netflix on Christmas Day. So you have to fill me in. I did see that they had Iron Eagle in the booth for one game and Noah Eagle in the booth for the other. And that is actually the first time that the same network has had father-son in the television booth for games for NFL.
So we had, so in game one, we had Iron Eagle, JJ Watt, Nate Burleson in the booth.
That's good.
So that was your booth. Stacey Dales and Melanie Collins were the sideline reporters. Laura Rutledge and the McCourty twins were on like a studio show at Pittsburgh. And then in LA, they had Kay Adams, Robert Griffin III, Manti Te'o, and Mina Kimes. And then in Houston, they had Noah Eagle and Greg Olson, which was a fantastic booth. Very, very good booth in that game. And then on the sidelines, they had Jamie Erdahl and Steve Weitz, I believe was his name. So that's what Netflix rolled with. The production overall for every game was very good.
No hiccups like the fight?
No, but those games were blowouts. It was kind of hard to watch.
Well, and I think for a lot of them too, they all got scared because of the fight, so they didn't tune in.
I had no buffering on my end, which was kind of nice. So
yeah, so.
And if you wanted, Mariah Carey kicked everything off, and yeah.
All I want for Christmas is you.
Hey now.
I hate that song.
I was just very impressed with the production level, and you know they kind of
did a hodgepodge of like they had some NBC announcers, CBS people, ESPN
people,
NBC a little bit. I mean, they kind of included everybody, which I thought was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Netflix trying to do sports. I just don't know how they fit into that landscape. I'm glad they're getting wrestling. But I just am curious to see how they're going to fit into the sports landscape. Could they become another YouTube TV or like a Hulu where Hulu has their shows and movies and also live TV? Could we see Netflix probably doing that in the next few years? I don't know what that would look like, but
yeah,
it'd be interesting.
But overall, I thought for Netflix's kickoff for the first time they did it, production-wise, camera angles, all TV commentators, very good. The football games, on the other hand, yeah, blowouts.
Houston only scoring a safety? How did they score that safety? Did they score that late in the game?
Nope, they scored it in the second quarter. I believe it was the second quarter.
Didn't do crap the rest of the time.
Nope.
Yeah, Houston is kind of falling apart. I'm not saying that they're the worst team. I think they're still pretty good. I think it's just that team is just so young, and all of the injuries that they've had.
That Tank Dell injury, God, I feel so bad for him.
It definitely killed him. Well, it killed the team. Maybe him too. I don't know, but hopefully he comes back from that. But I want to say it's not like Detroit. It seems like Detroit because of how good their coaching staff is, and they are just able to get guys that just fit the scheme, and they can plug them in and play them. They're playing their butts off. Where Houston seems like they're kind of lacking in that depth, and they just kind of, they're throwing people in, and it's just like they don't really fit. But here you are.
Well, in Pittsburgh in the other game, Pittsburgh's got some problems on the offense side of the ball, and they got problems with their wide receivers throwing tantrums. George Pickens, for one. I mean, that dude took his helmet off at least 4 or 5 times that game.
I'm sure the refs helped out Kansas City in some ways.
No, Kansas City got 2 flags for excessive celebrations, so.
You had flags against the Chiefs?
Right? That's very shocking, I know.
Wow.
Well, one was for gun motion, and the other one was Travis Kelce doing a Jimmy Graham celebration.
He broke. It's not even really a Jimmy Graham celebration.
No,
Tony Gonzalez did it first, and I bet you what happened. He broke Tony's record.
He did.
So Tony Gonzalez even said, because he's a former Chief, he's a Chief first, not a Falcon. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. He said that he would pay Kelsey's fine if he did the celebration. Because they do fine you. Not only do you get the yards, but you do get the fine.
He gonna get fined.
So I want to see if Tony Gonzalez can be
right.
Curious to see that.
That Amazon salary, I mean, you can afford that fine.
Speaking of Amazon, we have Thursday Night Football. Another Bears blunder. I'm not even going to talk about this. It was a game of kicks, and there was no scoring in the second half. It sounded like, two teams that really didn't want to win the game went to the bar and still couldn't score. Anyways.
If you think about it, Seattle, like, hello, you need to win this game to...
Well, they won.
They won. I mean, yeah, but 6-3 and no points scored in the second half. My goodness. That game was...
Did it come down to kicks and nobody could just kick? What happened?
Well, the Bears had a stupid thing where they had to call a timeout out of something, and it was just like, and then they screwed up late in the game, and then they forced to punt it instead of doing a field goal or whatever, and they couldn't move the ball. You had sell the team chance, and
hold on. Can I play it?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, all right. So I just want to get that out of the way.
I turned that game off at the end of the third quarter last night. I was just like, I went to bed. My dad even went to bed too. The same thing. I was like, all right, we're done. It's like, it's so bad, man.
I was about to say I did hear about the chance on Twitter of sell the team.
That was accurate. It was sell the team in there.
I'll be honest. The reason why I didn't watch the game is one, I didn't care about the Bears. No offense. As much as I do kind of like the Bears because NFC Super Bowl beat them. You can have your opening kickoff, but we won the game. But I just thought that Seattle was just going to blow them out, and they didn't even do that. I mean, but
no, they didn't.
But I did hear the sell the team chants. I thought that was great.
And for the last Thursday Night Football game of the year on Amazon, I feel so sorry for those people watching that. For the rest of the country watching it,
I didn't waste my time because I knew it was going to be a crap game. I just didn't think it was going to be 6-3 and boring. Snooze fest.
Well,
but I'm sure as a Chicago fan, there were opportunities to win that game, and they just didn't do it.
Well, we'll find out if Ryan Poles is going to make it the next couple of weeks because there's talk now, and he might get fired. He might get fired too.
Oh, I got some stuff. Thomas Brown, the interim head coach of the Chicago Bears.
He ain't the answer.
I'm well aware that he just got round 2. Okay. I couldn't write this up any better. I couldn't do it. So, you know what he did last season? You know where he was last season, right? Please tell me you know where he was last season.
Well, I do.
Okay. He was with the Carolina Panthers, called plays for the Carolina Panthers for Bryce Young. As the offensive coordinator. Frank Reich hired him as the offensive coordinator. He's the next bright young guy. Then you know what happens after they get the new guy, the new head coach of the Panthers? He goes to Chicago. He gets demoted from OC to passing game coordinator. And then he gets promoted to OC. To work with Caleb Williams. And then they fire Eberflus. And now he becomes the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Are you kidding me? I can't write this up any better. I'm all for satire. That is like crazy. Is this real life?
Pinch
It's
yourself
just
because it
real
is.
freaking life.
Pinch yourself because it's not a dream. It's real freaking life, man.
I'm sorry. I know you're a fan of this team. I just can't help myself. How can you be so incompetent as an organization and do that? And do that? It is awful. It is absolutely awful.
We have too many family-run organizations in Chicago as it is, so it's like, you think you escape it in one sport? Haha, no, you don't, because it follows you in the next one.
And the next one. And the next
And
one.
the next one. Yeah.
And the next day. Next day. All right. So I just
And you know the fun.
at this point, as a Chicago fan, you almost have to laugh. Like of how bad y'all's teams are. The Cubs suck. The Bears suck. The White Sox suck. And the Blackhawks suck.
And the Bulls.
And the Bulls suck. And two of those teams are owned by the same person. Really, three, if you think about it. I know we don't own the Blackhawks, but he might as well own the Blackhawks because they play in his building. But it's just laughable. I'm sorry, I hate to laugh at like that, but it's just like laughable at this point. Got nothing.
You know,
It's pretty bad.
as somebody that tries to stay half positive with all my teams in Chicago, which I do, I try to be half positive.
You do give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it takes a toll. And you know what the fun thing is? We're gonna go to Green Bay in week 18, and we're gonna get our ass kicked.
Fuck. It's not gonna be fun.
Then after that, it's a whole off season. It's hire the right coach, possibly hire another GM, fix your stuff.
Pretty bad. We'll circle back because Mike Robinson talked about the 4 being back. It is back at Xfinity, but we'll talk about the Cup stuff with Front Row here in a minute because I do want to circle back. So we'll get to that. But there is 2 more things that I saw about the Bears. We'll stop talking about the Bears after this. Pete Carroll, Chicago. Do you think that would be a good hire, or do you think that's too much of a John Foxman?
Supposedly he has 72 years old. He has the energy of a 25-year-old, and he's interested to get back into coaching. I mean, he's got championship pedigree, you know, USC and the Seattle's. I mean, it'd be a decent hire, but my thing is, we did it with John Fox, guy older. It's like we need to either get Variable or we need to get Ben Johnson. Either of those 2 guys are at the top of my list. Carroll's probably my 3rd option, but those 2 other 2 guys are at my top of my list.
So let's talk about Ben Johnson. I heard a rumor that he had an interview with Chicago after the Lions game last week or 2.
Last week before this game.
Yeah, okay, last week. I think there could be something there. I don't know. He said he wanted to win a championship with Detroit before he left it. Still a hot candidate. I think it'd be a good hire. But to me, and if you want the Chicago Bears to be a contender, I don't think hiring an offensive-minded head coach.
You think Variable's the answer?
We'll get to that. But because you tried it with Tressel about a decade ago, and it didn't work. Like, Tressel was okay.
He got us to a win and get in game against Green Bay, which our defense choked on the last play.
Great. But again, it statistically is shown that you get an offensive-minded coach in Chicago and it doesn't work. I think you need to get a defensive guy. I am all for the Vrabel hire. Because Vrabel has shown that he can hire competent offensive staff. I think the wheels just fell off in Tennessee. With Tannehill getting hurt, Malik Willis wasn't ready to play. I think the wheels just fell off in Tennessee. For Vrabel.
My only thing to that is, you think about it, John Fox was his defensive hire coach, and what's his face? Eberflus, defensive hire coach.
Yeah, I mean, you could give Ben Johnson a try, but I mean, we've seen it to where, you know, it's one more with defense and the offense.
Yeah, and they do call us the monsters of the Midway, so I mean, I get that whole point.
And plus, the last time y'all went to a Super Bowl about 20 years ago was with the defensive head coach. And do you want me to tell you his name?
Lovie Smith.
Yes, sir. I think Vrabel would be the best hire since Lovie Smith. I do. And I know Lovie didn't have. He's kind of up and down with years.
I mean, he was 10-6 when they fired him.
How do you fire a coach with a winning record? I mean, I know you're constantly looking up to Green Bay in the division. I mean, especially at that time because of how good Rodgers was and how Favre was. But fire a guy after going 10-6. Here's my thing of Chicago. Fire everybody. Fire Poles, fire the head coach, and just start fresh. Now, who's the owner of the Bears, or acting owner? McCaskey something?
Yeah, there's Virginia and George McCaskey.
Okay, George, put your big boy pants on and hire yourself a real GM. Stop blaming the GM that you hired for why your team sucks. And don't just say, oh, I don't know anything about football. I'm just a fan. Okay. Clearly something's missing here where you need to figure that out.
You know who
Don't just sit here and blame it on your GM because you're the one that hired him.
You know who I'd bring in as GM?
Don't say Bill Polian.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Louis Riddick. Louis Riddick.
His name has come up in the last few years. Because I think the highest he ever got before he took the ESPN job was, I think he was director of player personnel for Eagles.
Yep. That's who I'd get. Smart guy.
He is a smart guy.
I think he's also been in conversations with the Bears before too in the past. So I mean,
yeah, in conversation with. I mean, if you want to pull a guy from TV who's in the game all the time and constantly evaluating college players too, that'd be a pretty solid hire.
Yep.
I'm just skeptical of hiring TV.
I mean, that's fair.
But I think that would be a pretty solid hire. So you say you hire Louis Riddick. Okay, great. Who you hiring as head coach? I mean, would he hire Vrabel? Would he hire Ben Johnson? I don't know. I just don't know the answer to that question.
Well, the good news is we're going to find out over the next couple weeks what the heck's going to happen.
Black Monday. And, they got to get this right.
They do.
And I hope the GM and the head coach, whoever that's going to be next, is willing to give Caleb Williams a shot.
He's had bright spots.
Yeah, I mean he has. He's had that 4-2 stretch. I know I was giving the Bears a lot of crap and saying, "Oh, watch they're going." When they started out the year 4-2, Caleb was playing pretty decent.
Yep.
And then I think in the Detroit game on Thanksgiving, he was playing pretty good there too.
Yeah, the second half comeback, he led them in the second half.
Yeah, I mean he led them right down there. Just the thing was, he should have gone with this guy and called that timeout. If the coach wasn't going to do it, he had to call.
Green Bay, the game in Soldier Field, he led them all the way down to a field goal, but we all know what happened at the end of that game. But he was leading that drive, and he was saying, "I'm putting this on my back."
I hate to say, because I'm really not a fan of Caleb Williams, but he's proven that he can play in this league. He's just got to put it all together.
Yeah,
got to put it all together weekly. It's kind of like Kyle Busch. Got a lot of talent. If only he can harness it. But yeah, so Pete Carroll, Ben Johnson, Mike Vrabel. We'll see what happens over there. We'll see who the GM is going to be first. I think that's going to be the big hire first. Whoever the GM is, then you're going to have to see who their head coach is going to be. So, Indy versus Tennessee. We'll go ahead and talk about this week. I don't care. 38-30 should not have been a close game. We had them 38-7 going in the fourth. I took a nap. I woke up and it was 38-30. So I don't know what happened. I'm gonna blame it on the defense because I love blaming Gus Bradley for everything. He must go. Gus Bradley must go. They took their foot off the gas from what I could tell on the offensive side of the ball. They pulled JT. Probably shouldn't have pulled JT. You've got to be able to finish those games, and they should not be close. Got to rely on the running game to win those games. And honestly, I know you've been relying on the run game to score as well, but you're paying JT millions of dollars. Play him the whole game. Get the money's worth. Just saying. Don't take your foot off the gas. But we got some games tomorrow.
We do.
And you know what? Black versus New England. Go ahead. Who's your pick?
Is it Chargers versus New England, right?
Yep, Chargers versus New England in New England.
I'm gonna go. Oh God, that's a what is that? A 1 o'clock game for the Chargers too?
It is a 1 p.m. game.
My gut tells me that I want to take New England just because of the time zone, but I think Jim will have the boys ready to go out in Los Angeles, so I think the Chargers will win.
He is known to stay on the East Coast, and put him there for the week. He's done that, so I think that's probably similar to what he's doing. Give me a score.
Let's go Chargers. Let's go 24-14.
I think it's also going to be the Chargers, and I'm going to go 31-14. All right, Denver versus Cincinnati.
That's in Cincinnati too. You know, I'm actually going to go a little bit of an upset. I think Denver will win, and they will win. Let's go 24-21, Denver. Denver's looking a solid team for the playoffs in their wild card spot. Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix is a real deal for Denver.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me Denver. But that Cincinnati defense is terrible. 48-45.
Whoa, hello.
I think it's going to be a shootout. Because it has proven whenever Burrow throws for 400 yards and a million touchdowns, they lose.
That's true.
Put them in a shootout, they're going to lose. And it's no disrespect to Joe Burrow because he's a hell of a quarterback, but he ain't winning this game. 48-45, give me Denver.
Okay.
Because we've seen Denver be able to put up 50 and still lose. They lost 70-50 last year.
Yeah, holy cow. I forgot about that game.
Yeah. So, we got a divisional matchup for the night game.
And this is must win, too, for both of them, too.
Yep, Arizona versus the Rams. Go ahead, give it to me.
Well, I'm a sucker for Matt Stafford. I know Stafford's getting down there to the end of his career. Always been a player that's been fun to watch.
I
You know,
think
he's
there's a butt coming here because you're a Bears fan at
No,
heart.
no butts on this one. I know he was a Detroit guy for many years, and you know, Bears and Detroit, that was a big rivalry. But you know, I was happy to see him in Los Angeles win that Super Bowl that year. And I think Matt Stafford's got another playoff run in him. I'm gonna go the Rams winning over the Cardinals, and I'm gonna go. Rams have been on a roll too with their offense. I'm gonna go a high scoring game. I'm gonna go 43-38.
Interesting score there. I'm also going to go with the Rams. I just have no faith. Sorry. Go ahead and give me the Rams. They've been on fire lately, like you said, but go ahead. It's going to be a slightly low scoring. Not by much, so 38-35. I think it's going to come down to the kicker last play of the game. Walk-off field goal. 38-35. So, that's that. Oh,
And obviously we'll have all the games on Sunday too. And
I forgot. I had my little asterisk here.
What's your asterisk?
Teddy Bridgewater coming out of retirement, going to go back to the Lions for the playoff push.
Good for Teddy.
So we'll see. We'll see if he gets any playing time. I don't think he will, but maybe he rides the roster and gets a ring.
Good.
possible in Detroit. We're
You
gonna
got
talk
all
about
the
golf season
Okay.
opener next week in Hawaii.
Yes. Century Tournament champions out there in Maui, and then they'll be doing the Sony Open in Honolulu the week after that. But the big news is for golf that we had this past weekend: Tiger and Charlie Woods. Man, I know it's a tournament, it's competitive, but it's for fun. But Tiger and Charlie Woods, man, leading the back nine on Sunday. It felt good to see Tiger leading the tournament on Sunday, even though it's a
Charlie,
fun tournament.
Charlie was putting in most of the work. Let's be real. Got that. He did get that
He did,
hole in one.
Charlie's gonna be a star, man. Some of those shots he was making on Sunday, especially to go to that playoff round. Oh my goodness, that kid's got talent. He made his first ever hole in one too. Very impressive. But
And you know what? He'll
it
be
was
able
fun.
to keep that forever 'cause it was on television.
It was fun to watch though.
And it was a match, a couple holes, like Tiger said. I don't know if you caught the in interview like I did, but the hole before Charlie got his first eagle too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a magical run there they had for those couple holes. Got his first eagle, followed up with a hole in one. But man, they kind of got screwed having to go up against Bernie there with the 20-yard advantage every time.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people were talking about this week in the golf world is Langer getting that advantage, and it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
But we'll have
I
to see.
think what they could have done if they wanted to make it more even, just have a son every time.
Yeah. But Charlie Woods is going to be the real deal here. He's a sophomore in high school. I'm assuming he'll go play college golf somewhere, and then he'll make the tour a couple years after that. But he's going to be a star if he keeps progressing how he's progressing.
He'll be hilarious if he didn't go to Stanford, but if he went to another red school.
IU.
If that had some decent golf, but he'll probably go to Stanford. Scotty is out 2 to 3 weeks too.
He
missed
is.
the first couple rounds of the PG.
He had surgery, I believe, was what he had. But that first couple weeks in Hawaii, great. Both of them great courses. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful scenery. NBC and Golf Channel always do an incredible job of showing the scenery. And the first one right off the bat is all your past winners from the previous season, and I think your past previous champions of that event too get all invited to an exclusive event kicking out in Maui next week, day after New Year's. Tune on some golf. What you being real man of genius for?
I don't know. I'm playing sounds. Okay, so last thing I did want to talk about. So you know how I said Front Row Motorsports got that charter from SHR?
Yes.
Okay. So I did see something as a theory paint scheme. The 4 stays in the Cup Series. Noah Gregson.
I could see it.
And Rush Truck Centers follows him. The front row.
Okay.
I saw a livery. I have to go dig for it, but it's there. I did see that. I don't know if that's a concept. I don't know if they're actually going to run the 4. Not entirely sure. But I know they got the 34 and the 38. They're still waiting to announce the 38, whoever that's going to be. All rumors point to Zane Smith. I feel like at this point still. Because he hasn't even announced his Xfinity stuff yet.
Nope.
And they haven't announced what number that 13 was going to be. It could be 36. They've ran 37 before in their past. I mean, that was one of the first numbers they ever ran. From like 06 to 07, they kind of ran the 37 and the 34 both. And then when they opened, and when they expanded to a 3-car team in 2010, after acquiring points from Yates and a couple other teams after the downfall of 08 and 09, they had the 34, the 37, and 38. So
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. That was all I had for today, unless you have anything.
One other note that I want to make, Milwaukee Bucks did win the NBA in-season tournament. So congratulations to the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the Emirates NBA Cup. So just wanted to make that note.
You know, I could play a sound, but it's not appropriate.
Not appropriate for this time, so But we got a lot of football coming up over the next couple days. Got the New Year holiday, college football playoff, then we got golf, and then yeah, we can get start going.
Congratulations, Milwaukee, on winning the most pointless in-season tournament.
Yep. There you
And
go.
with that, we're going to follow up with this.
But yeah, we got a busy couple weeks here, man. A lot of great sports on TV. A lot of stuff to look forward to. So I'm looking forward to it.
I just won't brag on myself. I made a nice pass tonight in the All-Star Sports Report Chevrolet tonight. Went to the A car. Did some next gen racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Old Atlanta. So it was a good one. Was running in 8th late in the race on 40-some lap old tires, by the way, might I add. Changed tires lap 7, didn't change them after that because I was still repairing damage and everything. But I thought the last caution there was going to be another one where I get more tires, but that didn't happen. But anyways, that's not the point. You know, 8th place. I was running down 6th and 7th. They were a couple seconds ahead of me. Coming to the last lap, they were a couple car lengths in front of me. Just sent that thing into turn 1 up on the 3rd lane and passed them both. It was great. I had my Tyler Reddick pass for the year. You also had a solid run yourself, finishing P9 tonight. So
it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun racing around the guys I was racing around. I was in the top 10 all night. It was a lot. It was a blast.
Yeah. So we're working on some things heading into the new league season here. Stay tuned for that. We'll talk about it on the channel. But without further ado, it's been fun. It's been real. It's been real fun. But that is it for episode 7 of the All-Star Sports Report. That's Campigio. I'm Gary. We'll be seeing you.
Everybody enjoy your New Year's holiday, and we'll see you in 2025. And good night, Canada.
Happy New Year. Stay safe. Drive sober, or get pulled over, or call an Uber. Just don't call me. I'm too far away from you. I'm not coming to get you. I'll get you an Uber. Anyways, have a good night.